Afternoon, welcome to another one of these. Apparently I was talking over people, talking far too much. So there's going to be less of me, more of them, and then we'll see how you like those apples. Gentlemen, how are we?
All good, thank you.
Hunky dory.
I was expecting more, Tony.
I'm anti the H backlash, so I'm going to speak even less now, just so I can really fuck off other people.
Yeah. So listen, what did we think of the Copenhagen game?
I thought it was an enjoyable watch. The caliber of opponent wasn't great, but it was a much-needed win. It was 4 much-needed goals. Had Richarlison not been a complete chopper, it should have been 5. And the breathtaking moment of excellence from Mickey van der Ven will live long in memory because that was a truly exquisite goal.
Yeah, I thought that was exceptional. I managed to get my hands on the a glitch in the Matrix tape this morning that some good fan made, which spliced together Van der Ven's goal against Copenhagen and Sonny's against Burnley, which echoed the same come from the sort of left back position and then put it to the left hand side of the goalkeeper. That's available on the YouTubes. So yeah, very happy with that. I thought the quality of Copenhagen were poor. We were significant favourites, and it panned out the way it should have panned out, really. But we've got Manchester United on Saturday. Do we need to cover any more of the Copenhagen stuff? Do we need to pay respect to that a bit more? Or
a couple of little bits. I thought that without the Polina-Bentancur combination in the centre of mid, Bentancur was much better. He was getting the ball. He was going forward. That was encouraging. And the moment of stupidity for Brennan Johnson. I think we were discussing it in game, Tony, and for you it was an orange, but he still left the referee no opportunity but to send him off. It was very
exactly 100%.
Yeah,
100%. It was one of those ones where it's a typical forwards challenge, isn't it? Where you think, the defender wouldn't make a challenge like that. He wasn't trying to kill the player or anything like that, but it was just so bad. It was like you say. Ultimately, you've either got a yellow or a red. I think it was an orange. When I first looked, I didn't think it was a red, but then you see it on replay on VAR, and you suddenly go, actually, no, the studs are right up there, aren't they? So once the studs are going and making contact with the leg, you're gone. That's it. End of story. So yeah, I agree. I think it was a stupid challenge, and he didn't need to do it. But actually, it seemed, if anything, it seemed to galvanise us. Almost like it freed us up a lot, and we suddenly started playing with the freedom and the. As we said, it's Copenhagen. I predicted, despite everybody's incredulity, I predicted we would win that. You can go back to the previous tape to refer to that. But
we can't do that. We don't want anything to do with that. No.
I think 3 other things.
You see that.
Three other points. I thought that Moani played really well.
That touch for the goal. That touch for the goal was exquisite. That really was.
And he could have scored with the header, but he was getting into those positions that Richarlison just can't find himself in. Richarlison heads into a cul-de-sac week in, week out, but Moani, there's a reason why he's played 36 times for France. There's a reason why he was at PSG. And there was a reason why he was on loan at the old lady Juventus last season and scored 8 league goals in Serie A because he's a good player and he's head and shoulders anything else we've got. I thought Simmons was probably his best performance in the Tottenham shirt. He looked lively. He was getting the ball.
Simmons.
But again, he's now got to take that form forward and see if he can do it against Premiership opponents. Will he be able to do it against Ugarte or Casemiro at the weekend against Man United? And then the final thing that really bored my piss was the penalty. We were 4-0 up. It was the dying moments of the game. Dane Scarlett had worked hard to get it. Why didn't you give the lad who had a bit of confidence around him the opportunity as opposed to the punch-drunk, useless Brazilian who could have had a hat-trick but missed every single chance that came his way?
Well, I think you're being deeply unfair. I mean, I've always had faith in Richarlison. He's one of the Brazilian internationals that we've got playing for us.
Bollocks! Oh, sorry, nasty old cough there, eh? Nasty old cough.
You want to get a fisherman for your throat, Tony? He's a player that Everton fans adored. And we quite rightly overpaid for him at a time when nobody else was in the market for him. So I think you look, and he's been with us for a number of years. No, he hasn't quite done it yet, but I firmly believe before he dies, he will almost certainly come good.
I think it was what is it?
Fertilizer.
What was it? 4 goals for Palhinha in 16 games at Tottenham, and Richarlison's got something like 29 goals in 106 games.
Yeah, but Mickey van de Ven.
No. Let's stay focused. I'm thinking of vibes here. Does Palhinha bring the pigeon goofing? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have anything about him. He just looks like a footballer that works out and plays well at football. That to me is a little bit thin.
Well, yeah, I would also, for in Chris's defence and people's exhibit B, Milad, I say Mickey van de Ven is our top scorer, for fuck's sake. Yeah. So sorry, when it comes to a central defender being your top scorer, it means your forwards are not doing their job. And
Who was it years and years ago? Was it Paul Warhurst? Did he play centre back for was it Sheffield Wednesday or Blackburn Rovers? And they put him up front, and he went on like a crazy scoring run. It's got to the point where I generally Mickey van de Ven could do no worse up front than any of our forward options.
So
well, was he? But he was a striker, wasn't he? When he in the youth, wasn't he, Van de Ven? I think he was I read somewhere he was actually a striker at one stage in his development.
Might have been for like a season or something. I mean, I think it was a long time ago because he was. There's some pundit who caught him after the game, asked him about that, and he sort of like went, "Yeah, I guess I was, but I wouldn't get too focused on that." But yeah, he was, but he was sensational, and more to the point, this is an indicator, huge indicator of the consequences of having very little in the way of an offensive impact. Mentioned Richarlison couldn't score in a Vietnamese whorehouse with a pocket full of rice, and
you've used that before.
Yeah, yes, and I will continue to use it again and again and again until you're finally crushed and open to the idea of laughing at it. But like we've said that Tottenham's creativity has been so poor, and our ruthlessness, our zeal in front of goal has been so limited that if you look at who our goal scorers are, it's not where the money was spent. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, you're being so old-fashioned, but Spurs need to do something about that. We've been toothless, absolutely toothless. And against Chelsea, it was 0.1 expected goals, which I know people don't like stats when they're not in their favour, but that's pretty bloody poor.
Don't dwell on the past. Think about the future.
Yeah, that's a great line from one of the Batman films, but I think amongst the grown-ups in the audience, I'd like to just point out that we don't have anything approaching an even serviceable attack. And I think the idea that Richarlison, for example, doubled down and killed Dane Scarlett's chances of getting a booster by scoring a penalty was particularly unacceptable. And I would have loved to have a word with Richarlison, which would have left him with a black eye and a few teeth missing.
What it does show is that we are so much better with a doggy at left back.
Yeah, just absolutely.
When Spence is terrible on the left, he makes things so narrow as he wants to get the ball on his right. If you go play Spence, give Porro a little bit of a rest. But Porro, again, didn't do anything wrong the other night.
Well, Porro is another one of those players which, unfortunately, everybody loves. And everybody's prepared to cherry pick on his stats. And there was a thing I saw on Reddit after the game with a whole list of stuff where he'd come in at the top of the thing. But I watch the games and I don't see a particularly exciting footballer most of the time. It means we're a defender down. We're playing with 3 at the back when we should have 4 or 5. And we're just a bit incomplete without him, or with him.
But there are lies, damn lies, and statistics, aren't there? Basically, so
yeah, exactly.
Stats don't tell you the actual facts. They tell you something, but they don't tell you the facts of the input. Because you can have the best stats in the world, but if you're not actually, you can have a 95% pass ratio, but if all your passes are sideways in the back, in the back, where you're defending, well, that's not effective. That's not actually helping you to win a game. So it doesn't. These things like statistics, to me, as you say, my view of a game is you judge by what you see rather than by what you rather than statistics.
I use stats routinely to reinforce what I've witnessed, because you'll get somebody say, Brennan Johnson, good example, Dele Alli, at the risk of going down that path. Fantastic example. What an unbelievable generational talent. Well, actually, no, if you look at the numbers, there's an awful lot of gaps in those charts. And quite straightforwardly, we're not getting what we've paid for. So you've had an emotional moment of coming together with seeing one of these players, whereas I'm telling you, for 90 minutes and loose change, we didn't get value for money.
I'll tell you what will be interesting tomorrow will be to see how Vicario fares, because the last 2 or 3 games, I mean, I'm not taking the Copenhagen game because he was barely touched, but at least he did catch the ball. Yeah, and he's actually been pretty decent the last 2 or 3 games. He's been very solid, and it'd be interesting to see how he fares tomorrow against a United attack, which will probably be wanting to get right up his arse.
Well, look, Manchester United, we've got tremendous form against, but referring to my previous remarks, my lord, Manchester United are a lot more together in an attacking sense than Spurs are. So it will be interesting to see what it takes to save us, because it doesn't look obvious at the moment.
Well, I think what Amarin's done really well is that, sorry, Chris, he's got rid of the players that were causing all the problems there. Because a mate of mine's a massive Man United supporter. He said Garnacho was poison in that club. He was absolutely poison. And he said they couldn't wait to get rid of him. No Man United player supporter worth their salt wanted him in the club. They said he was poison by all accounts. And when you've got a team of players, a group of players that are together and they're all playing for each other, then you tend to get results. You tend to get improvement, and that's what we're now seeing with Amarin. And there was plenty of times where the management could have just chucked Amarin out the window, but they didn't. They stuck with him. Because they saw something and they realised that he has to have time. And this goes back to what we were talking about last time. All these people going, "Oh, the football's really boring," blah blah blah. Frank out. I mean, you've got to give the man time. You've got to give people time to be able to do it. I know, like in the past, Nuno got kicked out a bit too early, but that was Levy, who just basically was a moron. I don't think that with Frank they're going to give him time. They're going to give him the window. But the same with Amarin. If you see. I'm not saying Amarin's he's a superhuman in terms of the management, but we are starting to see this green shoots from a Man United perspective, and that's what we've got to mirror.
I'd be fascinated to see where the green shoots are going to come from. But go on, Chris.
Well, that hire and fire mentality doesn't work anymore, and you look, and there's a lack of real quality from a management perspective coming through. Your old dinosaurs, your Ancelottis, your Mourinhos, are only getting older. Klopp seemingly doesn't want to manage at the moment. But when you look beneath, where's your up-and-coming young managers? Like, everybody was waxing lyrical and getting really carried away with that Will Still, who ended up in Southampton from France. What's happened to him? He's been given the chop. Russell Martin, a disaster at 2 clubs, probably won't manage again. So you look beneath the level, and the only one out there that you'd say, "Oh, brilliant," is Klasner. And you'd be all over him. But there isn't really young and upcoming managers making a name for themselves.
Ryan Mason?
Well, he's going to end up getting sacked, isn't he? West Brom lost again the other night. And for a team supposedly favourites and in the mix for promotion at the start of the season, they're nowhere near likely to get up.
I know several West Brom fans, and the mood in the camp is that he's inevitably going to fail. They don't see a future for him at all. Absolute waste of space. But I did warn them, and they did kind of listen. but they always take everything that I say about football with a pinch of salt, because I'm never happy with anything, and they think our stadium is lovely. And that's what we're dealing with. But no, I think the excuse me, this wretched cold has been going on for weeks, and goodness me, Christopher,
I know that you like to share things, but that's sharing and caring is getting a bit carried away there.
That was through the power of the electric cable, folks. Through the power of the electric cable. No, but I think that they will give Frank more time. He certainly deserves it. This is Levy having spent an awful lot of money on Dross. And yes, Brennan Johnson, I'm looking at you, and yes, I am ungrateful because I want more. And Richarlison, chickens coming home to roost. Don't worry about pigeons. Solanke, guess what? I'm going to take you back to that film with Harrison Ford, and he's running away, and Tommy Lee Jones says to him with a gun, he said, "I'm taking you in," and he says, "I didn't kill my wife." And Tommy Lee Jones says to him, "I don't care." So Solanke's injured. I don't care. None of these people were good enough before they didn't get a chance. And this endless excuse making, I know I went into a spiel on it on the last show, but you've got to just get a brain, borrow it, buy one, hire it. I don't care, but get a brain. We don't have anybody who's capable up front. And the Copenhagen game showed that off. And the Chelsea game sure as hell showed that off. And then you're looking at what the manager can do. Is Frank going to be able to improve players? Well, arguably, yes. But this is the thing I'm going to give you. And this is called, yeah, that's right, we're going to do that one more time. Holding two ideas that don't naturally sit together particularly well in one's head at the same time. So if he is able to improve players, which he's shown on numerous occasions at Brentford, and that goes back to the conversation I had with Chris in the pub in Malvern, where his average margin on taking a player in for 50p and then selling him for hundreds and hundreds of pounds was 80-odd%. He's proved at Brentford he can flip a player. At Tottenham Hotspur, what's different? Well, I tell you what's different. Daniel Levy supplied the players. None of the scouts at Brentford supplied the players. So we've got junk. I would suggest, I'd put before the court, time-expired junk like Tell, like Odebear, and you want them improved. Yeah, well, I want a big 10-gear bike for Christmas. That's what I want.
Hang on a minute.
You know if I get one.
Hang on a minute. Odebear's got a Champions League goal, and all of a sudden he's cooking, he's rapping, he's freestyling. Yeah.
And I am dating Miss World, and I'm off to Monaco this afternoon to have a foot rub. Sorry, he's cooking on a fucking radiator. I won't even entertain this for a moment. I love you both dearly, and I hope you're playing to the microphone. But this is garbage. If Frank as this is the old one. These are hands. They are not wands. That's what Frank should say.
All I was trying to do, H, was provoke a response, and I've played you like a fiddle.
Like a fiddle.
Yeah, wheeled you in. Hey, and remember, Dr. Richard Kimball is the fugitive.
Dr. Richard Kimball is the fugitive. I don't care. But yeah, that's it. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. You can't make me care, because I am not for a nanosecond emotionally invested in any of these deadbeats. Absolute bums. Absolute.
But also,
bums.
H, the thing is with Frank, you talk about, say, can Frank improve players? He can improve players who he actually has a say in buying.
Correct.
Because he was involved in the transfers at Brentford to the degree that he said, he's a good player, but I think I can make him better. Yeah, and he worked with them, and because he invested in them, because he wanted them and saw in them things that he could do better. With this lot here, he's had none of that. All the players that come in had nothing to do with Frank. Don't take care of anybody said. They had nothing to do with Frank. These next 3 or 4 transfer windows where we really see the sort of where Frank is going to go with this team, with the club. And also what the Lewis family do. That's the key element here, because he can have all sorts of ideas if he wants. I mean, if someone was telling me having an argument with on the YouTube from last week, do you think it was on YouTube, it was on the last video. He said, do you think Frank has any say in the transfer? Yes. Of course he does. He's the freaking manager. If you're saying a manager never has any say in a transfers, you're deluded. He has a say, but with Levy, it was he who made the final choices, and he was the one who decided, basically, I don't trust you as a manager. I'm going to buy who I want. But I suspect now Frank is going to have a lot more say in what's going on. I know you've got Paratici and what have you, but they don't go, we're going to go and get these players, Thomas. You can work with these. Frank is going, these are the sorts of players I need. These sorts of targets would be what I'd want to get. And they work on a strategy. If you don't think that happens, you are deluded. You are absolutely freaking deluded.
No, you're absolutely right. And what I was gonna say, I've just remembered because I forgot for a moment. The Lewis family doing something. You're gonna love this. It won't be difficult. They just have to do something.
Yeah,
they've done something good. They got rid of Baldy. But now they need to do something. We've seen them bring in some LinkedIn hires. I'm fascinated because I always am. I love people who can't speak properly, who wear blue suits. They can stand in a room without, shitting themselves or dropping their drink over their shirt. But beyond that, we're looking for someone with a little bit of inspiration in regards to the football. And I'm telling you now, the junk that we've currently got in our first team or starting 11 or squad need to sort it out. And also, dare I say it, we need to start buying people that don't fall apart when you play with them. And it's a time to start buying quality. And I was going to make another one of my laborious things about clothing. I've got I'm not going to say the brand because stupid people are going to jump in, but I've got items of clothing I've had for a ridiculous length of time. I've got one item of clothing that's actually older than my own child. And I'm older than time. Because you buy quality. All the stuff from Mr. Byright, I would have had Byright stuff when I was at school doing A-levels and stuff. Didn't last a week. Absolute junk. Marks and Spencer's, which used to be all right for clothing. Absolute junk. Falls apart after a couple of weeks. I don't have anything by any of those people. So you need to buy quality. Quality stays around for a long time.
I bet you still got those Joe Blogg jeans, haven't you?
No, absolutely not. I've got... I'll tell you who do make very good jeans that refuse to fall apart is Assos, bizarrely. Yeah, I don't knock them for a nanosecond.
What about those shoes with the red and green labels to indicate what side of the foot you should wear them on?
Oh, are they the ones that have kicker written on them and what was it, real leather? Because they look so much like plastic. You have to make a stake. No, I've never owned a pair of kickers, but
the 80s passed you by, didn't they?
The 80s, I was off my head on mind-bending love drugs during most of the 80s.
I think what we need is getting back onto the football-related stuff because this is what this is all about. I think Frank, in the next couple of transfer windows, I don't think we can look too early into January because I don't think you never really get it. Only based on what we're hearing, Ivan Toney is a target. Now that would be a good signing. I know he's been in Saudi, but even so, he's still banging in the goals in Saudi. So he's not like he's lost his touch. So he
knows his way around the onion net.
Yeah, that's basically that. Yeah.
Boy done good. Got a couple of nice feet on him.
Proper geezer, proper footballer.
Proper geezer, knows where the labs are.
Yeah. But if we can get a couple of decent signings in the window, even if we get someone like Toney on loan for a little while before we decide whether, before we can negotiate some terms, that would be good. But I think it's the summer. That's where it's going to really have an impact. So we've got to get it right. We need an attacking midfielder because we've got nobody apart from Maddison really at the moment. And he's obviously too fragile. We need another one. We need another left back because of Doggy, because old Doggy does get injured quite a lot. So I think we need another left back. We need a right winger and we need a striker.
I don't think right wingers are helping anybody at the moment, are they?
Well, no. You say about the summer, Tony, but if we are heading into the potential knockout stages of the Champions League, we've still got the FA Cup going on into the beginning of next year, and we're still fighting for a place in the league. We've got so much football ahead of us. Our scouts should be talking to people now so that we can go out and sign big name players because there's so much to play for. We can't write off the rest of the season in advance of the summer.
I agree with that. I agree, Chris. You're right. But the thing is that generally in the transfer, in the winter transfer window, you don't get as much availability with the signings.
They've been talking about Toney that I'd take him every day of the week. there's been those constant murmurings of Dusan Vlahovic. His contract's up in 2026. So if they wanted to make 15, 20 million euros before he disappears, those talks should already be taking place. And it's a small amount, but it remains an amount. We're 11 million quid richer today than we were yesterday because Jim Radcliffe's Ineos have admitted liability for the terminated Ineos deal. So that
and they've set a precedent already, Chris, haven't they? Because of Tell, what they did with Tell. Because if they're going to spend that stupid amount of money on Tell, they can do it on Vlahovic, can't they?
Yeah. So we've got to go out and get those players. And then there's people talking about, we need another centre back. Well, that Croatian lad Vuskovic is absolutely ripping it up out in the Bundesliga.
He got the Player of the Month again, didn't he, in the Bundesliga, didn't he? Yeah.
And when you see Van der Ven's performance the other night, there's either one or two things. He's either playing himself very quickly into the Bernabeu starting 11, or he's more likely playing himself towards an attractive new contract. But as
they've got to do it now, mate. If they're going to get him on, they've got to do it now because he's on. I know we're talking monopoly money here, but he's on 50 grand a week, isn't he? Which for a player of his quality and ability, he's worth. The big boys are going to come calling if we don't knock that up. I mean, even if we get it, but we get a big transfer fee for him, which probably, given our lack of success, is almost inevitable. But if we then do become competitive and start winning, players will more likely want to stay more. So I agree with someone like Van der Ven. We got him up really quickly.
So you're absolutely right in what you say. But for me, we definitely need that left winger. People have been talking about Semenyo, and he's a good player, but I'm not sure he's a £100 million footballer.
No, he's not. No.
Definitely need a left-sided midfielder because at the moment Kudus looks like he's playing with diving boots on. Too much has been expected of him.
What about the lad from Brentford?
What, that Igor Thiago, the centre forward, the Brazilian that Frank signed?
No, I was thinking of Kevin Schade.
Oh, Schade, yeah.
Quick to turn their noses up, but again, Frank's the manager. It's what he wants. It's not what us as a fan base or Twitter suggests we want. He's the one. Like when he took Visser to Brentford, I think he was something like 28, 29 years of age, but possibly a little bit younger. He'd been playing in the backwaters of France and hadn't long played in their top league. He saw something, and now he's gone on for big money to Newcastle. So you've got to let him be the manage and do what he wants, not what we all clamber to.
And we were talking about improving players. Does Frank improve players? Ollie Watkins was a classic example of how he's improved a player, because I remember watching Ollie Watkins from a long time ago when he was in Brentford in the first division. And right from early doors, I said, I would love us to assign him as a Kane understudy because he would have been brilliant. Kane would have actually given him a really great apprenticeship, if you like, on that sort of thing. So he improved Watkins, who went to Villa for decent money. Tony became a better player when he came from, even though he was banging them in, he became an even better player when he came from Peterborough to Brentford. Then you got Visser and Mbeumo, and then you got like Damsgaard's played really well. Norgard, who's gone to Arsenal, wasn't it? Norgard, I think went to Arsenal, didn't they?
Why don't we go for the method recently suggested by Sava and get somebody to play for us for a month for free?
I'll get one free.
I'll tell you another one who doesn't look too bad is that Ukrainian guy they've got in central midfield, Yarmolenko or something like that.
Yarmolenko.
He's good stuff. 100%.
Yeah. So,
but all Frank signings, aren't they, Chris? These are all Frank signings, aren't they? These are the stuff that he had sight of or big involvement in, which proves that if you give him the chance to be involved, he will typically makes good decisions.
And we're crying out, as again, I'm just repeating what you've already said as you introduced it so eloquently, but we need that ball player. Without Maddison, with the exception, we were playing a lesser quality side the other night. Let's be perfectly honest about it. But we need somebody who can find the front two, can bring the wingers into play. And at the moment, when we go away from home with Polina and Bentancur, very defensive, sideways and backwards, we need somebody who can really get us quick on the overlap and can change our dynamic.
Well, what Tuesday also showed us as well is that players like Mawani, who potentially could be very, very good players, still early doors yet, as they say, but he makes good runs. He gets into good positions. You just need a quality attacking midfielder who can pass the ball, because if they're in sync, they get in sync. then that space is going to become available, and then you can see once he gets some service and once he's getting into those places, I think he'll come good. Yeah, it's still early days yet with him, and he did miss a couple the other night that he should have scored. But the key element is he was getting into those, as you've often said, Chris, he was getting into those positions where Richarlison was never getting in there. So therefore, by dint, Richarlison really, I think we've said it before, that guy should, unless we're in such an injury crisis that we've got no choice, that guy should never see the pitch again for us. Never.
He needs taking on a tour of Chernobyl and leaving there, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't want to be, well, I'm always Mr. Party Pooper, aren't I? But I mean, why are we talking about something that's so out of date? I mean, this guy was shite the day we signed him.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to stop that. And as I say, how difficult will it be for the Lewis family? Just stop doing stupid things. That would be my advice.
Another thing the Lewis family do need to do is to resolve the ticketing price, because there were so many empty seats in that stadium the other night against Copenhagen that it was almost laughable.
Well, they have.
The Dortmund game's now become a Category B game, isn't it? So
it was 60 quid a ticket the other night, and that showed it was an embarrassment.
Well, you see, this is the problem. I mean, I don't think that Dortmund is a Category B game, but I think it's the quality of football. And again, because it's Tottenham, let's not act like this is the first spaceship that we've seen. Because it's Tottenham, people are expecting a little bit more value for money. And consequently, people are sitting on their hands and not cheering and screaming. And we'll have all these ridiculous... They think they're pressure groups. I would suggest they're unemployed people using X and Facebook who want to come out and organise tifos and banners and this, that and the other. Just need to buy better players. And you'll soon be on your feet. Because, I mean, that Mickey van der Ven, I mean, one of the guys on our subs, one of the guys on our YouTube there said, whilst watching a fan bit of footage, and the crowd went mild. Spurs fans are not happy-go-lucky punters. It's amazing that the internet, when you see them off of real life and online, is absolutely besieged by people who are demanding, like National Socialists hitting their horsewhip against their leather boots, that we all applaud and cheer and be happy. Why can't you be happy? Well, spend our money wisely.
Well, it's a product-driven.
I know this is sacrilege, but come on.
It's a product-driven business. If you produce good product, people will buy more, and they'll enjoy it more. It's that simple. It's not a rocket science. I know we could all go, talk about the past, but those days of Gareth Bale and Taxi for Mycon and all that sort of stuff, that's the stuff that gets you off your ass and cheering and screaming like a giddy schoolgirl at a Beatles concert or something like that.
It's the same. I would, again, and I'm going to go back to retail because that's what I know, but it's the same. I had a conversation with somebody at a dinner the other bloody week, and I mentioned Primark, and they pulled a face like somebody had put the bitter lemon in their mouth. And I said, have you been through the door? Have you actually been through the door? And I've bought the odd bit from them recently. It isn't rubbish. It's still cheap, but you can get some great stuff in there. You can get some stuff which you can spot a mile off isn't going to really survive too well in the washing machine. But I bought the odd bit which fits in with the stuff that I wear. I'm very happy with it. And do you know what? Maybe it's old age and wisdom, but I'm quite happy to say to people, yes, this sweatshirt costs 70, 80. No, this thing was £100. Thank you very much, Hugo Boss. Right? I don't give up what anybody thinks. I buy what I like, and I know what makes a good garment in terms of the build quality and the manufacturer. So this was worth £100. I bought a couple of bits from Primark the other week. Come out of the washing machine singing and dancing like they just come out of somewhere rather expensive. So spend the money wisely. Part 77. I'm sick of hearing it. I really am absolutely sick of hearing it. There's no reason on God's earth why we should constantly be doing this, mend and make do routine at Tottenham. It's boring. It doesn't bloody work.
Think back to the good days of the Bond films. And the Bond films always had Aston Martins. They had amazing jumps off of bridges because it attracted the viewer attention and you enjoyed it. It was fun. You wanted to come back and watch one after another. If you put crap product on the pitch, nobody wants to watch that nonsense.
I described, God help her, to my ex. We were watching one of the Bond films where it probably was Casino Royale, because the scene where he has to go out to the car and comes back, and he puts on this shirt and then puts on the jacket to his fresh tuxedo because he's sweated and vomited and got blood and God knows what all over him.
Oh, that's when he was poisoned, wasn't it, in the car?
Yeah, and she said, "Is that like, that'll be a German street shirt and a hand cut suit?" And she said, what is good about that to the layperson? And I said, well, I know we're watching it on HD and all the rest, but look at the light bounce off that shirt, and it follows the contours of the man's body. It fits him absolutely perfectly. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just come off a hanger, but it looks great. It's probably going to wear very well under the jacket. And then he puts the jacket on. I said, look where how the shoulder sits. It's a work of art. Somebody spent time getting that right. Those blocks that they cut those panels of cloth from to make both the shirt and the suit, but separate blocks, obviously, they were cut and kept and made of wood for a reason. And then they use exceptional cloths with exceptional tailors. But no. Don't worry about all that shit. Let's just go and get Matthias Tellin after a 2-hour conversation with an Australian toilet cleaner.
Well, you go to Savile Row to get a decent suit. You don't go to Tesco, do you? Let's face it.
No, you can get a suit, which, I had this, another boring one from the archive. I had a woman bought a Giorgio Armani suit from me. She brought the thing in after about 6 weeks and it looked like it'd been to Vietnam. And she said she'd bought this suit for her husband. She said, I can't believe it's an absolute pile of poop. And I said, well, what has he been doing in it? And she said, well, he's been wearing it to work. I said, all right, how many other suits does he own? And she goes, he's got another suit. But I thought I'd treat him to a really good suit. I said, okay, this isn't a suit of armour because you spend £1,000 on it, which it was at the time. This is a suit that you would literally, it's so beautiful, you would have your photograph taken in this suit and then you take it off in order to keep it for the next occasion. I said, whoever sold you this should have made this clear. I said, the suit that can cope with a commute from Essex into Liverpool Street on a £5,000 a year, again, that was the price of the ticket. They should have been directing you towards Marks and Spencer's, where you could get a suit that folded inside out, was reversible and went in the washing machine. Because you do need something that can cope with going to Vietnam. But it all goes down. It all goes back to money, and it's not about how much you spend. It's about spending the requisite amount for the task. So the fans aren't happy because they've got nothing to whoop and yelp about. Well, unfortunately, kids, you have to pay for it.
Agreed.
You have to pay for it.
And if we're going to do, I think we've got to stop doing this nonsense as well, of doing this ridiculous haggling for every last shekel. We just got to stop doing it. If you see a player you want, just go and buy the player. Just go and buy him. Just get it done.
But again, you see, this is endemic, and it comes from the fan base, because the fan base are very quick because you've got to understand the world isn't full of bright people. It isn't full of cultured people who've travelled, right? I see something I like, and I'm at hard work. I bring a toolkit to nail the person I'm negotiating with to the floor. I did some negotiating recently, and the guy said to me, he was close to tears, back and forth on this fucking lease. And he said, this wasn't a negotiation. This was telling me what you wanted.
Well, that's what negotiation is.
I said to him, exactly. I said, what did you want me to do? Ask you what flowers you wanted in the bouquet after I agreed to your terms? You're dealing with the wrong guy. You really are incredibly naive. And he sort of looked at me. I said, this puts your other things you've said, puts a cloud over them. I have to be honest with you. I said, this is what you do when you're buying something. I said, if this is, you see something for your son or your daughter and you say, well, it's 50 quid, but it's going to put a smile like no other on their face. Take the 50 quid. I'm out of here. I'm not going to make a nitwit of myself negotiating. But if you're talking about a financial commitment for many years, which is what happens when you buy a footballer. If you're talking about something which affects how the rest of the world perceives you and thinks about you and regards you, you've got to get it right. And just saying, yeah, or no, or, oh, I really respect the fact that we didn't buy the player we needed, which is fundamentally insane, because then the next time you open your stupid, great wobbling mouth is to tell us that we're number 8 in the Deloitte Money League and things are going awfully well. Yeah, because you're charging people like Christopher down there £8 for a can of bloody Inch's cider. You can't have it both ways. You need to work out if you're going to sit with the adults or the children, and that's how it works.
Maybe we could have a Just Giving site in this window to help keep me hydrated at games moving forward.
I think that's an admirable thing, and you could just go up to the bar and say, "Hi, Chris B here. I'm just it's no problem at all, sir. Let me just have a look. Oh, who's a lucky boy? You've got 2.5 cans free. Do you want to take 1 or 2? Leave 1 in." And let the dice keep rolling. That would be a great way of making sure our mate was all right at the game, I think.
It's always important to contribute to your 7 a day, so 7 cans equals 7 apples. I thought your rant was actually segueing into the AIA deal coming off the front of our shirts and who's going to become the new shirt sponsor.
Who is the new shirt sponsor?
That was announced earlier this week, wasn't it? Disappearing off the front of the shirt. They're going to remain as a sponsor for the training apparel, but there's a new shirt sponsor, and God forbid, are we ever going to name the stadium? As that's the suggestion. It might be one and the same.
All I can tell you is that I've heard back to death, and I have not been involved in the writing of any of those ridiculous Football Insider articles, which come out literally on the 37th of each month. They're so far-fetched. I've heard that Levy's turned down loads of offers for these things, and I fully expect, as I said several weeks ago,
Venkatesh. Now he's out the door.
Yeah, I think we're going to see all sorts of magical things happen that were previously impossible.
For 10 million a year as opposed to the 25 that Levy wanted.
Well, if you can want 25 million, but if you're getting 0, then you're not a terribly good businessman.
No.
Well, this takes us, I'll make this brief, but this takes us back to, again, when you're negotiating with somebody and they say to you, but it's on eBay for 300 quid. Yeah, that's the asking price, mate. What was the last one that actually sold? What did that go for? People are so naive, so childlike in their grip on reality. Here is a tickling stick. Here's the thing I used to clean my Venetian blinds. I paid 99p for this, and I think I've had good value. If there was somebody selling them for 50p, I would have bought one for 50p.
All I can see is H impersonating Ken Dodd at the next fancy dress party.
Who has yet to be convicted of anything, but nice try.
Yeah.
We're all guilty of something. It's just people finding out about
it. He doesn't clean his Venetian blinds with that.
The guilt is coming out of my every pore now.
You don't clean your Venetian blinds with that. That's your bollocks you're cleaning with that, isn't it? That's what you just anything for a quick thrill.
It's too big. It's too big for that job, Tony.
What a beautiful day.
I need a jewellery brush.
I was going to say, you're not Buster Gonads then.
No, absolutely not.
H had heard of manscaping. Now he's actually realised what it is.
You're obsessed with that stuff, and I find it quite weird. I like being as nature intended, part chimpanzee. And frankly, honestly, clearly nobody's seen me naked if they want to see more.
Well, not unless you have to subscribe to an OnlyFans site.
Well, I've got a Substack, which is kind of my OnlyFans thing. That does contain industrial sexual imagery in some of the swearing. That's for certain. So, just on a little incidental thing, which is a disaster. You have to get this stuff in at the beginning of the thing. I'm going to be doing more live stuff and keeping it on the Substack. And the YouTube, I'll do what I want with. But, I just want to add value to the Substack. The subscriptions on that keep on going up. So, yeah, and that's the premium product is our match day there. So, all the live stuff. Apologies for the last couple that I've done because the Wi-Fi wasn't very good, but I've invested in better Wi-Fi. So I could be near Chris B's parameters.
So you got two hamsters now instead of the one that you've overworked to death.
Well, I've got the most fibre a white boy can buy in Birmingham. That's all I can tell you.
No, sorry, mate. Bran Flakes isn't really going to cut it, mate, is it?
You wouldn't be saying that if you had a monkey on the box. I can tell you that for certain. So, looking at Manchester United, anymore. Looking at Manchester United coming up on the weekend, how do we feel that we would do, and what do we feel would be acceptable?
I'm going to go all out and ambitiously say that we will win 3-1.
Woo!
But there's a caveat that we've got to start the exact same 11 that we started the other night.
I know you're talking about. Okay, so what about Dane Scarlett or whatever?
They didn't start as on the bench, wasn't he?
Well, what I'm saying is we don't want Richarlison. Who do you want up front?
Well, Moani.
Oh, okay. You think he's got enough? Do you?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, I'm not. Setting you up for a fall. I'm just curious to know what
have you changed your ways?
Say that again.
Have you changed your ways?
Yes, I change them once a day. Thank you. So
I think I reckon it's going to be. I think it'll be a close one, actually. If we do, I think one thing we need to do is not saying not show them respect. You need to obviously show every club respect because they can do damage to you. But I think we've just got to go. We've got to take the fear away from losing and just actually try and go out there with the same mindset as we did against Copenhagen, where it was very much we were attack-minded. We really wanted that game.
If you jump all over Bruno Fernandes and stamp on him to start with,
get right in his head. Get right in his head.
Man United don't get the ball to Bruno Fernandes. It restricts any creativity they've got moving forward. So you've got to rattle him and wind up a Portuguese man, and you'll find that most Portuguese men have a very short fuse, and he could get himself sent off or something.
So where do we think our goals are going to come from then? If we've got a plan to extinguish Manchester United, where does the flame and the heat come from?
Mickey van der Ven hat-trick.
Oh, for God's sakes. And you thought I was setting you up for a fall. Cretin. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd like to apologise on behalf of the mental patient who told us.
Mental health, no joking matter.
This is what self-care on steroids does for you.
Yeah,
it's bloody right, isn't it? Just so really, I mean, what
I would like to see is I think 2-1. I think 2-1.
Going to have the oomph for this, do you?
I'm joking, H. Come on.
No, I know you're joking, but listen.
You have to reinforce this message to the elderly as they're not down with the youth and they don't get the vibes and they don't cook enough.
Yeah.
It does take a bit longer to process.
Sorry, I don't spend my life on TikTok, so I've got my.
Hey, I had a notification on my phone the other day to say the boy H is now on TikTok.
That's very old news. Oh no, but I don't watch it. It's dreadful.
Right.
So Spurs are 2.75. Manchester United are 2.6. So there's a communion wafer between the pair of us, and the draw is where the value is. You can get up to 3.7.
I think we might squeak it 2-1. I think that's where we might just squeak it 2-1. But I'd like to see Moani get his first goal. That would be really nice.
Your mate Brennan Johnson scored a 30-yard pile driver. After he's broken an eyelash.
I think you've induced a heart attack there, Chris.
Where's the defib?
I've had a coronary. No, I mean, listen, I tell you, I'm calling it now. I'm going to say it's a draw, and I don't think I've got enough energy and imagination to say it's going to be a Desmond. I think this is going to be a 0-0 or a 1-1. That's killed the room. That's shifted the vibe.
Yeah, but.
Well, what you're trying to say is you basically don't want the crowd to get excited anymore because you don't think because 0-0s are all we can expect now. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, to quote somebody who left a rather pithy remark on the old .com many years ago, He said, "People like you are making Ledley King injured."
Yeah. Because the power of football really has that impact. Yeah, because the power of football really has that impact.
I better cancel my Earl's Court show then, if that's the way the room's working. But no, I can't. I don't see where the goals are going to come from, and I don't think Chelsea away is any more complicated than Manchester United indoors. We were at home to Chelsea, weren't we?
Yeah, we're at home at Chelsea. Yeah.
So there you go. I'm going 0-0. We might even lose 1-0. That's what I'm saying.
It's all about the mentality out of the blocks, isn't it? We've underperformed on late games. Guess what? We'll probably underperform at half 12 games. But we set up with a completely different dynamic. Well. We were getting the ball forward early. People look lively. You've got to build on momentum. And if you can't build off the back
but what you said earlier, Chris, as well is really true, is absolutely spot on. We've got the balance that we had against, again, it was only Copenhagen who were like fifth in their league, and the Danish league is not really up to much these days. It used to be quite competitive, but they're not too much. It's not up to much these days. But the balance we had with Udogie on the left and Porro or Spence on the right, it just made us look so much more balanced. And I think we've got to stick with that balance. We can't keep, as long as Udogie stays fit, then we've got to stay with that balance, because it's just a natural thing. Inverted left backs, all that sort of nonsense. Let's just play simple, proper football.
But it shows you how dog shit we were against Chelsea the other night, that Chelsea went away to Baku the other night against FC Karabag and could only draw 2-2. So
yeah, but I've got some great news on that game. I was in a pub with a Chelsea fan.
You in a pub? Never.
Yeah. Well, you got to make a living, haven't you? But yeah, it's so that was enjoyable. But he's not really a football fan; he's a Chelsea fan.
Well, the thing is, I'm saying this to a mate of mine. Chelsea must take Viagra every time they play us, because they've always got it up for us, always, and we never have it up for them, and that's the problem. That's the problem with it. It literally has become 3-point lane, and all that sort of stuff. It's just ridiculous. Our mentality against it is so fragile.
I think to continue the disturbing and violent overtones of the sexual imagery you've employed there, you need to remember that Brennan Johnson, as Chris B quite rightly told us last week, is a player that goes for a wee sitting down.
that seems to resonate, didn't it, with the YouTubers? That seems to resonate.
If you're looking for somebody who's got a Viagra allergy, then it's Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah,
we're all into Rohypnol. Something happens.
Well, we're into
more like we're taking Rohypnol. It's more like we're the ones who are taking it rather than
if you want a comedy bombshell, our man in the trenches, Yves Bissouma, the boy Biss, the vibe bringer himself, he's had 800,000, nearly 900,000, close to £1 million misappropriated from his Coots bank account. Somebody he gave access to his account has swindled him and withdrawn the money. He was arrested last year. I think the guy's name is I can't remember now. It's Morris Ugabi or something. But anyway, it's one of his mates. Clearly, he made the guy's signatory. You can't just walk in and say, "Hello, I've seen Yves Bissouma on the telly. Can I have £800,474.87p, please?" That doesn't tend to quite do it. Even in a bank owned by NatWest. But yeah, so this guy's up in court. But so the blinding vibe machine. No wonder he's having it tough. I mean, what is that? Is that a month's money or something?
Oxide, mate. That's what happens when you abuse nitrous oxide.
Yeah. What would your client like to say? Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
So that's. Sorry, Chris. Say again.
These 6 sunglasses are $6.99.
And they come with a lifetime guarantee, as you can see from the swing ticket.
Yeah.
And just make sure you get the sand out of the pouch, or they will scratch.
Yeah, don't worry. We're at this corner every week without fail.
Alan Sugar's a big supporter of ours.
Alan Sugar's a monster supporter of ours. The hairy cornflake himself. So you think we're going to get an emphatic win through some transcendental thing involving Mickey van der Ven. Tony thinks. What did you think, Tony? We're going to win 2-1 or something?
2-1 squeak, but hopefully get Moani, get his first goal, give him a bit, give him some confidence so we can move forward with. Because I'd like, if we're going to invest in somebody like him, I'd like to see him actually come to fruition and actually get some goals so we can actually then buy him. I mean, someone was joking the other. I'm not joking. I think they actually believed it. Went on the YouTube chat where they're going, "Oh yeah, we've signed this Moani player who's worth 90 million." Yeah, he was worth 90 million 2 years ago, but if you look at Transfermarkt, he's worth no more than 30 million euros now at tops. So, if we can get him for a bargain like that based on his previous history, and we can then turn him into one of those players, fantastic. But that's what we got to get.
Yeah, I'm like I say, I'm not particularly hopeful. Look, my default setting is that we win every game 5-0. That's my default setting for anybody stupid enough not to have grasped that yet. But I just don't feel it at all. I really don't feel it, and I think Manchester United are on the way up, and we're sort of doing that. I mean, it's great to see where we are in the division. Are we going to be there at Christmas? My thoughts are, unless something staggering happens, we won't, and we need to get provision in place for the new year and go out. And I don't want to say I don't care, but just go out and splurge, buy somebody that can do the job. Bit of due diligence, a bit of Frank really wanted this one and spoke to us at length about it. Not we found some halfwit in League One or in Mesopotamia or somewhere that's only 27.5 grand. Go out and buy the real deal, and let's remount our charge in the new year, because I think we're going to need it. I genuinely think we're going to need it.
Preferably somebody who doesn't have an N and an apostrophe before their surname would be ideal.
How many own goals have we racked up this season? Don't get me wrong, I know goals come from pressure, but I mean, would you say too many? There's enough, some?
I remember that when the three of us naively convinced ourselves that because Frank was alleged to have wanted Brennan Johnson and Gray when he was at Brentford, that he was going to turn out to want to beat us. How wide of the mark were we?
Well, I know, and Archie Gray was a big one because he was due to go there, and we came in and nicked him off and didn't we? Basically, so I think. But again, it's all very well, but at the time, and people say, well, why is he turning out to be good now? It's because he doesn't have the same pieces around him. Whereas when he was at Brentford, he had the pieces he wanted, and he could see that Archie Gray would fit a particular slot within his team. Whereas now, he's having to go in there and rebuild, and Archie Gray doesn't fit in where everything is right now. But that's not to say that he doesn't want him.
When you're a world-class player playing in a world-class team, those world-class players make you look even better than you are.
Which we've said consistently, haven't we? We've said that consistently. No matter how good you are.
Remember that Eric Choupo-Moting, who played for Stoke, and he must have had the best manager ever, as he ended up going to PSG, and then after PSG, Bayern Munich. And he ended up winning thing after thing after thing, but he was always a terrible player. But he had all those around him that just made his job so much easier.
It's just like you get all these numpties on various very last one. Look, these various numpties are going about Harry Kane now. Oh, he's in a farmers league, and because he's ripping up the Bundesliga and broken all sorts of records. Yeah. Yeah.
There is.
I mean, come on. Have people really got short memories about what he did in the Premier League? If he'd have been at somewhere like Man City, they all talk about Haaland like he's God's gift to football, but he's not. Harry Kane, in terms of his playing, in terms of his all-round ability, Haaland scores goals, yeah, but he can't pass like Harry Kane. He can't assist like Harry Kane. He can't score from all sorts of positions like Harry Kane can. I'm not trying to compare them because they're different types of players. But when you're in a squad like Man City, where they're presenting to you 5 or 6 chances a game, whereas he's at Spurs, where he's had to work really hard for it, then of course he's going to score more goals. I think that's it. But if Harry Kane had been at Man City, he'd have been out of sight, absolutely out of sight.
Can you imagine Haaland? Can you imagine Haaland playing in a side with Oliver Skipp and Harry Winks?
Exactly. He would get. I mean, Kane performed miracles based on who was around him. Yeah, there was a golden age where we had Bale for a little bit, and then we had Sonny. Obviously, that partnership with Sonny, which was almost telepathic for 2 or 3 seasons. But how can you turn around and say somebody like Kane is not? This is another thing that goes. Oh, you're not world class until you've won a Champions League. Oh, sorry, did play? I didn't realise that one player has to win it all on their own.
Mm.
No, I think. I mean, listen. I think sort of bald men fight. Sorry, Tony. I don't mean it's bald men fighting over a comb sort of syndrome here. I mean, I think world class has to be kind of underlined by actually winning stuff. I think if anything, I would say that Kane proved that he was world class in the Bundesliga, and not because it was a softer division. I think it has its challenges. I think the Premier League is probably one of the toughest you'll get to, simply because of how much the demand is, how much money will be paid. Sky Sports, you better hang on to that, otherwise you'll have nothing to sell. And I think Kane has proved himself to be absolutely world class. I think he was playing for clubs such as Tottenham and England, who didn't give him the platform to be, just regarded as world class. But I wouldn't take anything away from Harry Kane at all, and I think he may well come back to Tottenham at some point, and I think he'll be like a fine wine and a liar. Two things that get better with age: liars and wine.
I think if he came back to Spurs, it wouldn't be necessarily as a striker, or he might have just played. But I think he'd come back as a kind of an attacking midfielder, because I think he'd be perfect in that role. When he's got a couple more years in his legs, I think he'd be perfect, because his distribution of the ball and his passing range is just phenomenal.
He's never relied on pace. I was watching some of the European stuff the other night, and Modric, at 39 years of age, playing in that AC Milan central midfield role, he looks as good as anything out there.
Right, we've hit the hour mark.
I would just like to thank everybody for their light-hearted and jovial comments in the last couple of videos. It's provided me with hours of humour and self-reflection.
What? Give us an example of what's provoked this self-reflection.
There was one talking about us having a combined weight of about 200 kilos or something. I was disappointed. I'd like to think that was just me.
Yeah. Listen, I've got to tell you where I've come from, because this isn't about my journey. But I had this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about Australian fans, and I said, for me, it was like get out. It was like for me, it was like using the internet again for the first time, and people say, "Can you see through those glasses?" and all the other funny stuff. You're a bit old. Yeah, we've done all that, mate. You're very late to the party. All the hookers are dead. There's no cocaine left, and all the beer is warm.
No, they're all
if you want to make jokes about the fact that we're not 12, and that we've got a combined. I'm not even going to go down that route. But listen, knock yourselves out. The Chuckle Brothers over at the Spectrum Industry are desperate to see you. And there are other channels available for mindless people.
But you know why they do that, H, though, don't you? You know why they do that? It's because they can't argue with our actual points, because instead they just go to personal attacks, because they know that we're actually making sense, and that's the only way they can actually vent their anger, because they can't disagree with us.
But I'm a ferociously good arguer and debater, but I'm quite happy to call somebody a ridiculous spaz and just move on, knowing that I've bested them.
Well, I've often heard you called a masturbator.
Absolutely. Right, on that note, on that bombshell. And listen, we didn't mention any serial killers or former or future members of the National Party.
What books were you looking at this morning, Tony?
Pardon?
What's that?
What books were you looking at this morning?
Oh yeah, were you in a bookshop, Tony?
Yeah, were you in a bookshop, Tony?
No, I was walking past a bookshop. I wasn't going into the bookshop.
Any recommendations?
Any titles that caught your eye?
I'm not being drawn into this discussion. Isn't it about time this wound up, H?
No.
No, all of a sudden he wants to go on for another hour, doesn't he now?
We need to give the public what they want. There you go, folks. That's much better,
John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer.
There we go, folks. That's what our little man in Havana was up to this morning.
I said, why? But why? And Chris said, well, did you buy the books? I said, why do I need to buy books about my life?
3 for £7.50 if you want to find out what happened.
That was in the works. We were walking past the works this morning.
The works. Look at you. Who said this country's broken? Right. Cheers. Thank you very much. Good luck, everybody. And we'll see you after Manchester United.